I didn't like my last job, and I just did what everyone says not to do. I quit, I started this, and I just hit the ground running. I was like, I've had enough. I've done this now for like 7 years at that time. It's Rusty.
Hey, Rusty.
He's a certified good boy. If you just look at the tank the wrong way, it just clogs up. and you start to do that, it's just like, pachoo.
And you got what, twin spindle Y-axis live turret here.
Yeah. Now, this thing is freaking sweet. One of my favorite lathe accessories for sure. These are the best, by the way. If you're worried about having the best, these are the best. Buy like, oh, this is old technology. Oh, we could get some. It's like, it works for me. Hilariously, I put a picture of myself on there only because it's like, this is the best use of time. We're in the process of going ISO 9001, which I really don't want to do. This is a newer unit. We used to have like a pimped out Harbor Freight cabinet that I like tweaked out and tuned in. Like, yeah, brackets. I guess if they find a bracket, then all the world is done for. We're gonna explode into a fine mist. What we're doing is not magic 3D printing. I can't just go to the machine and say, hey, spit me out 5 of these right now. It's really like starting to pay off. Like what I'm making every year. It's a nice living.
All right, so this week I got to talk to David Smith at Motive Machine Works in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We actually chatted for like 2 hours. We talked about a lot of little pieces of equipment and stories that you won't see in here. And I'm always wondering, do I leave it full length, 2 hours? Would you like to see that? I'd appreciate your feedback below if you could comment on that. If you could subscribe as well, I'd appreciate that. And then finally, if you want to show your shop, you live within a few hours of Allentown, Pennsylvania, reach out to me in the comments, or my email is linked to the channel. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, my name is David Smith. I own Motive Machine Works here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We are a job shop, so we do a lot of work for aerospace, medical, pharmaceutical, defense, semiconductor. Those are probably the main industries. And we do a little bit of 3-axis milling. We have a lathe with live milling on it as well. Y-axis, full C-axis, things like that. And we do a lot of low volume parts, high mix, as everybody usually likes to say. Prototypes, medium production. We're kind of starting to want to get into more production, in terms of like 1,000 pieces, things like that. So that's kind of, that's primarily what we do.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, as I was talking to Chad earlier, that we're not able to show a lot of the parts that we make, unfortunately. Pretty much all of the parts that we make, which kind of stinks. But
that's pretty typical.
It's kind of the way a lot of things go.
Do you like running the shop?
Yeah, I do. I like where all this stuff is going. Like, I see the end customer, and it's really fascinating to me, like, where this stuff is going, like what companies that this stuff is going to. And I don't really know what they're doing with it. I mean, some of the parts I made might have gone into space. Some of them maybe I didn't. They were just ground things, testing, support. So I really enjoy like the challenge of machining, because like we're not mostly making, and he probably saw some of the parts I made in my cabinet back there, but we're not really making a bracket with 2 holes in it. It's like, we do some relatively complex stuff. That's kind of where I try to be competitive. We're not competing like in this area. Everybody wants a little square block with 2 tapped holes in it or 2 drilled holes that they can run 1,000 pieces of, that they can have some random person just sitting there and throw parts in it all day. Everybody will slit each other's throat for that to get the lowest possible price, just to keep a guy busy. I don't get involved with that kind of work at all. I mean, we're trying to make complicated parts, fast lead times. Like, we do stuff with a lot of finishing, so chemical film, anodize, nickel plating, random things like that. And so I enjoy all of that. I don't enjoy that people don't understand that, like I said, this 3D printer here, like what we're doing is not magic 3D printing. I can't just go to the machine and say, hey, spit me out 5 of these right now, and in 20 minutes, we want $50,000 worth of finished parts sitting off, just stacked up neatly, and I can just go and pick them up. It's like, no, we are doing complicated stuff with like complex tool paths, complicated tooling. We're doing some like off the wall, or it's basically research and design in a way. Somebody else came up with the design, but we're kind of figuring out how to make it all work, and making like complicated fixturing. We're trying to hold flatness tolerances. We're trying to hold parallelism. We're trying to hold dimensions. We're like, there's so much that goes into it. You don't just go to the machine and it spits a perfect part out. And I like all the technical stuff. Yeah. Like, I really like kind of pushing the new technologies, and like, at some point I want to get into 5-axis machining, but for me, the cost of one of those machines, for a good one, in my opinion, you're going to spend $300-400 grand. And I want to make sure I have that right kind of work lined up before I go and do it. It's taken a while. Like, starting a business takes time, as everybody knows. I don't have to tell anybody that, but we're now like 7 years into this, and it's really like starting to pay off. Like, what I'm making every year It's a nice living.
All right, wanted to let you know that Campro USA is having an open house at our showroom in Bethlehem on March 12th and 13th. We are shamelessly bribing people with giveaways, Traeger grills, cash prizes, tooling certificates. And then we're going to have a bunch of vendors from the industry there to provide some value and live machine demos and free food. So who doesn't like that? I'll put a link to the RSVP page, and we'd love to see you there. Thanks a lot.
Pretty much all my machines are paid off at this point.
Congrats.
Thank you. A lot of people that come in here think I'm in debt up to my eyeballs. I'm like, no, nope. The last 2 machines I bought in cash, and the first 2 machines are almost all paid off at this point. So
you're making good money, but
yeah.
you're probably putting in a crazy amount of time.
Yeah, and I do my best to maintain a work-life balance. I mean, most of the time I work 40-hour weeks.
Oh, good for you.
But I say that with a caveat, like my brain is always turning, like
Sure.
it never turns off. I'm at my house, like working on my website when I go home, cause I'm kind of redoing my website at the moment. It's not that great. But it's like, I'm like thinking like, I got to run payroll tonight, and then it's like all these things
Right.
just kind of going through your head all the time.
Yeah, which is hard to factor into your time, but
Right,
it's a
right.
mental
Right.
load, right? You worked at other shops before,
I did, yeah.
and now you have your own
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
What do you recommend that people try to start their own business? Do you have any advice for people?
I would say if you're good at solving problems, if you're good at managing money, those are the 2 biggest things in my opinion. You will never not have problems in your business. Like the dumbest thing, like those chip barrels I just talked about. Like you're always going to have problems, and like every year my taxes get more and more complicated. That you have to go back and forth with the accountant more. Like we made the business an S corp, so now it's an LLC taxed as an S corp. So now I have to pay myself a W-2 salary. Like all of these things, it's for the tax benefits, so the company pays less in corporate tax. But it's just things that get more and more and more complicated all the time.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I'm just going to be fully transparent. My eggs are all in one basket.
Yeah.
And in terms of my customer, and that's a little bit scary.
Sure.
I recommend not doing that. and I also recommend. I mean, I kind of just went out. I didn't like my last job, and I just did what everyone says not to do. I quit, and I started this, and I just hit the ground running. And ultimately, it worked out. But I would recommend doing it on the side until you have at least to where you can hit your what you're making per hour at your current day job.
Yeah.
Let's say your salary is 50 grand. Let's just say that's $4 grand a month. Rough numbers. It's off that. If you can make $4 grand profit at your business every month, I say you got the green light to quit.
Yeah.
But I would not recommend quitting with no customers. That's what I did, and like
Wow.
I said, I would not recommend doing that. I had ideas of what I wanted to do, but I didn't technically have any customers when I
Wow.
quit.
That took some cojones.
Yeah, but I'm a single guy. At the time I had a roommate at my house who was paying about 60% of my mortgage payment for me. So my expenses were low. I had low health insurance. So this is a Doosan DNM 4500. Similar to those familiar with like a Haas machine. It's similar to a VF2, couple extra inches in X, Y, and Z, but not much. It's pretty much like a VF2 size machine. This is 17 and change by 31 and change. It's like a metric number. But yeah, 30 side mount tool changer, dual contact spindle, 12,000 RPM, 2 megabyte memory, which is always the bummer with Fanuc. But
Yep.
yeah, so what we do is if anything's bigger than that, we just drip feed it from the compact flash card.
Okay. So this is like a linear way machine, right? And you probably have pretty quick rapids on it.
Yes,
and stuff.
yeah, it's pretty fast. I typically we'll feed up to 300 inches a minute. That's kind of where I stop. I mean, the machine can go faster than that, but typically in like a small part size like this big, it's hard for the machine to reach the acceleration and deceleration
Right.
when you're doing this quick, rapid movements like that. So 300 is, again, if you have a long plate this long, you can go 700 inches a minute,
Right.
and it will actually reach the speed.
Right.
But for a lot of the work we do, I mean, I can put 10,000 inches a minute in my cam, and it doesn't mean it's going to hit that, you
Right.
know.
And
Yeah.
you got a tool setter, a Renishaw
Yes.
tool setter.
Yeah, tool setter and probe on all. You'll see we have three mills.
Yep.
Tool setter and probe on every single one. In my opinion, if you're a job shop doing like one-off stuff, you cannot not buy a probe. In my opinion, some people don't because they want to save money. I don't have an Excel line graph of my ROI on buying probes, but I can tell you that they have absolutely like 10 times overpaid for themselves.
So like it comes in huge on setup, which you're doing
yeah,
all the time,
all the
right?
time,
So like
yeah.
how much time would you say you save with a probe versus a edge
like an
finder?
edge finder?
Yeah.
I mean, you could easily save 10 minutes on one setup. And
Right.
if you're doing a part that has 6 setups, you just saved an hour. Or maybe it was 30 minutes, and maybe my hour time was off. But it just, yeah.
So you got another?
So yeah, this is the same machine. So this one I bought in the heat of the pandemic in 2020, like May of 2020, and everybody thought the world was going to end. Yeah, so at the time I had only the 2019 DNM 4500, and then I had a 1999 Haas VF0E.
All right, for my day job, I sell CNC machines for Campro USA out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and I can tell you how legit the machines are, you know, the features and benefits and all that stuff, but I figured I would just put in some clips of one of our best customers saying that. He's in upstate New York and has about 50 of these machines and has had them for about 15 years. So here's some clips of that. If you have any interest, reach out to me. Thanks a lot for watching.
I believe in the machines, their capability, their quality. I can't think of anything I would talk bad about them. The longevity of the oldest ones we had is just indestructible. They're bulletproof. I mean, virtually no maintenance. You know, just the common maintenance of keeping up. And I keep buying them because they're like I say, they're bulletproof.
And that thing was starting to have more problems than I wish it would have. So at the time I was like, well, I don't know if I should buy this yet. I don't know if I can afford it. Should I do it? And I kind of looked into it and I'm like, okay, you know, the cost of the monthly payment for what I was going to put down at the time, I was like pretty confident that I could get some little job that would at least pay for this every month. And then hopefully, obviously the goal is to make profit.
Right.
But if I was able to do just a small little like 8-hour job that would pay for the monthly payment, you know, I would have been okay with that.
Right. Worst case scenario, you're not going underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that ended up being like the best decision I ever made, because now all of my machines, I can use the same program with the same RPM, with the same tool holders, with the same pull studs, with the same everything.
Yeah.
So it's one thing like that I always think about when I start looking at other machines, like, oh, well, this is an HSK spindle. It's like, yeah, that's a nice spindle, but now the tool holders are more expensive, the studs are more expensive, and I already am established with a lot of my tool holders that I already have is Cat 40.
Yeah,
so
it
now,
costs you 40 grand every
yeah,
tool.
so it's like, you know, I'm going to have separate holders for this, and then all of a sudden I have some goofy holder over here that I need to use, like an 8-inch projection holder that I don't have in the HSK, and then that's like you just have these little problems.
Yeah,
so
standardization.
I try to
smart.
I try to standardize. We have these machines pretty much all configured the same. Of course, I thought this was cleaned out, but there's a couple chips on there on the table.
How much does one of those vices run you?
They've been when I first bought them, you could get them as a good price, was like $500. Now I think they're in like the $650 range. They've gone up to like $730 at times, which kind of stinks, but I mean, it is what it is. Everything's gone up in price. They're made in America. Inflation. Yeah, made in America.
Are they Kurt?
They're Kurt.
Okay.
Yeah, every single vise I have is Kurt. A lot of these you can see after a while the logo thing falls off. So
well, if Kurt's watching, they need to get you
yeah,
new logos.
they should. I wish I could just buy those, because they pretty much eventually they're just going to fall off. I mean, the coolant, unless you run dry. If you run dry, that probably won't happen.
Sure.
But I mean, 99% of the stuff I do is we're using coolant.
Of course, yeah.
Every once in a while, you know, we'll do a 4140 or some type of steel job where we're using a high feed mill with air blast, through spindle air blast. But even with that, like for like a finishing profile tool, we're still using coolant. Mm-hmm. So I mean,
yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean, what kind of stinks about this configuration here is like I can only get a 3/16 end mill past the last vise. So like a face mill is not going to go all the way off the last vise. You kind of have to keep that in mind, or you have to like use it face on the y-axis.
Right.
There's, you know, pros and cons, but like just having this machine configured this way has certainly helped me in a lot of scenarios. This is the SVM4100. This is right after Doosan got bought out. I think it's a 2022. I bought it at the end of the year when they just changed to DN solution. So I think somewhere under here it says DN. Oh, right there, DN solution. So
look at that.
They changed it.
The fresh logo.
They changed it to DN. Like I said, I think that was a mistake, but I'm not a marketing expert, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, this machine is I like this machine. It was a good for what I paid for it. It was a good price. Like you can see how noticeably smaller the spindle is. Substantially smaller. This one still has 30 tools side mount. That was my thing, because they have a DNM 4000, which is a smaller travel machine than the 4500s. Similar size spindle, but that one only by standard has a 20 tool changer, and I was like, ooh. I don't want it. I
Yeah.
want 30.
Right.
I want 40 and 50 and 60. I don't want 20 anymore. I've gotten so spoiled. I mean, my first 2 Haas machines, they had 20 tool changer ATC umbrellas, and this is way better, 30. So that part at least is nice. Like I said, this thing has faster rapids. It gets up to speed a lot faster. The coolant tank design on this is, I'm really not thrilled with. It clogs if you look at it wrong.
Really?
Yeah, if you just look at the tank the wrong way, it just clogs up. and like you have to constantly be scraping chips out of the chip trays. So, I mean, there's probably ways you could get around it, but I mean, it's just kind of the way it's. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flood coolant ports, and then you got those 2 in the back, that's 7, and those are larger ports, and it's a tiny pump on this machine. So it's one pump, so it's like, you start to do that, it's just like, pachoo.
Just like spitting out.
Yeah, so I kind of turn those down in the back unless I'm doing something crazy where I really need to wash the chips out. But most of the stuff we're doing on here is smaller anyway. Yeah. We kind of tend to, now I kind of have it like, hey, this small little part that's like this super lightweight little aerospace bracket, we'll put that on here, you know, because we don't need the torque, we don't need the horsepower, you know, whatever. So
yeah, that sounds like Doosan should send you an upgraded coolant pump.
Coolant pump, a coolant tank. No shade to this. I mean, I like this machine, but if I had to do it over again, I would probably buy another one of those.
Yep. Then you got what, twin spindle Y-axis live turret here.
Yeah. Sorry, the phone's ringing in the background.
Go ahead if you need to.
No, I don't need to. It's probably a spam call if I was going to bet money on it.
Probably a salesman like me.
Yeah, no, it's usually spam. It's like somebody from India calling about who knows what.
Right, steal your mother's retirement account.
Yeah, something. This thing I like a lot, but I'm not a lathe guy by trade or by really any way you could look at it. I'm very comfortable with this machine now, but what I don't like to do is bore out soft jaws for like lathe chucks. So you can see, I mean, I got a Royal Products, QG65. So it's a quick grip. I mean, again, I'm sure most people know about this system, but you use this, you know, to pop the collets in and out, and it's just quick. Yeah. And I don't like to, like, you know, when you're making one lathe part for $1,000 or something, and you got to bore out a set of jaws, and then you got to bore another set of jaws for the op 2, it's like, this just wasn't worth the time. You know, and you got to clean everything out, like on this and on the chuck when you kind of swap them in and out. So I kind of just leave this in here, and if the part doesn't fit on this machine, I just don't do it, or I do it on a mill.
Okay.
I make a lot of lathe parts on the mill at times. Yeah. Bigger 4, 5, 6 inch stuff. As long as it's not like, obviously, like you can't do a 6 inch diameter that's like 12 inches long on the mill. You can't do that.
Sure.
But if it's like a 6 inch diameter, 2 inches thick, I'll put it on the mill unless they're like calling out some crazy, like, you know, 2/10 run out or something. It's like, all right, I probably shouldn't do this part here. But with the probes and everything, I mean, I'm easily holding like 1 thou of concentricity at least. So, I mean, you know, I don't get too worried about it unless, like I said, if they're calling out some really like no run out or something, it's like, all right, then I will not do that
Bite
job.
The bullet and put it on the lathe.
Yeah, do it on the lathe or just not do the job at all.
So you got what, 1, 2, 3, 4 live stations?
Three.
Yeah,
there's 1Z and 2X.
Okay.
And that's what came with the machine. And I've thought over the years of upgrading and getting more turrets, but the issue is, and I'm sure other people can attest to this, like sometimes you need this stick tool for a drill. Sometimes you need this stick tool for a spot. Sometimes you need, there's only 12 actual, so it's a 24 position indexer, so you can do like half increment spacing.
Yep.
But like in terms of live tooling, it can really only hold 12 tools. But then if you would load this up with 12, you then don't have any turning tools or any like standard like stick tools, like in the terms of like stationary drills. And like I don't have a bar feeder, as you can see, but I do have a bar puller here. Let me see if I can just pull that thing up. This thing is freaking sweet. One of my favorite lathe accessories for sure. Right there it is.
Okay.
So it's an easy puller.
Sweet.
It's this thing here has these rollers that basically you feed it over in X around here, and then it kind of feeds in. And the way these rollers work is they go from 93 thousandths to 2 inches and 47 thousandths in diameter, and you never have to change anything on here. So the way it works is I can show you right behind you here. There's a cheat sheet that they sell with the thing, and it tells you, okay, if you have a 1 inch diameter spar stock, you set your X position in your program to 234, and then you see it so on and so forth all the way down the line. Everything is an issue with space, and I mean, we're not making 20,000 lathe parts. It's 50, 100, 200. There's been a handful of times where I'm like, this would have been useful to have a bar feeder, but the cost and the extra space, like they take up a substantial amount of length.
As long as the bar is, they're taking up at least that.
And usually more. It's
Right.
usually like 6 feet past. And then you got like all this weird space off to each side that you really can't use because you need the space to be able to access that.
Yep.
So, I don't know, we opted just to do this, and I was like, if it's ever a problem, I'll get a bar feeder later. And the work that I do, I don't have an issue with it.
So you could put in a bar in your spindle that's what, 4 foot long or something?
Yes, if you have the right, like, I think it's
Liner?
JF Burns, they make 4 feet liners.
Okay.
But the standard liner that's just like, that goes to the 4 foot liner is like an extension. You have this little like top hat that sticks out the back.
Yep.
And it's safe at everything, but the liners that I use are 3 foot.
Yep.
So that's pretty standard. Like Trusty Cook, I use, they're like red. You can see them back here.
Yeah,
They're red. I also have a couple homemade ones, which I would definitely not recommend making them. It's not worth the time.
So are these homemade or what?
Those are Haas spindle liners, so I found out a little bit of a hack. These go on sale for like 50 bucks. And these Trusty Cooks, these are the best, by the way. If you're worried about having the best, these are the best. These Trusty Cooks are like 250. So, like, it's one of those things, it's like, for a $1,000 job, do you want to spend $250 on a spindle liner? But then, like, you can't charge the customer that in most applications for the liner. So, what I did was, that's the wrong one, sorry. These liners fit, it's a little bit of a tight fit, but they will fit down inside of here. So I basically take a 1 3/4 Trusty Cook, and these Haas are 1 3/4 OD. And sometimes, like this one, this has a little bit of an interference fit here that you're going to have to kind of put some oomph into it. But some of the other ones fit a little bit nicer. Let me see here. This one usually fits nicer, but like these went on sale for like $47. So it's like, there you go.
Yeah, that is a good hack.
But you can see there's a Trusty Cook spindle liner in there. They go up to like 2 5/8 diameter. So.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, I guess I can show you some of the other stuff. Like this is some of my inspection stuff here too.
Yeah.
Now you've seen all the machines. So we have gauge pins here, and they pretty much all used to come in. I mean, this is nothing fancy, right? But they pretty much all come in these cases. And the problem is, like when you have everything up to 1 inch, now you got like 5 cases stacked up on top of each other. We started to add in sets of half-thou increments. So I bought this this cabinet here, empty. This is just a generic Chinese cabinet. And the top drawer I was a little disappointed with, so I ended up, I bought this. This is like a liner for one of these type of cases, just for this top drawer, but then the other drawers were fine. So the other drawers, you know, we basically have, you know, every size, kind of, it's nice to just have less drawers. So
very satisfying.
Yeah, it's very satisfying. They're nice, smooth roller bearing, or ball bearings drawers. But down here, I just built this. So this is like an Ultra HD. Everybody's about these Seville Classics things now. Like those 2 workbenches between this machine and that machine over there, those are Seville Classics. They're like $200 for that workbench.
Really?
Yeah.
Where do you get them?
Online. And they ship it to you. And they used to ship it for free. And now I think it's like $240 with the shipping, which is still good. This was $200 with the shipping.
Seems really solid.
Yeah, Amazon, and that's with the nice top too. I mean, you can't buy the materials to make it yourself for that.
No.
That's like, so.
I got to think about that for my garage.
Yeah, they're super nice. But I built these little sliders here because it was just kind of annoying. Like I said, we were just kind of stacking them on top of each other, and like, oh, the pin you need is on the 3rd bottom drawer. Now you got to like do this little thing. So we just kind of put these in here. So we have half-thou increments up to 625/5. And speaking of organization, I thought, I don't know, I always get a kick out of this. We put this in about 1.5 years ago. So this is a Mixtron unit. So here's our coolant, Qualichem 250C. This is a Mixtron unit. These are made in Italy. I saw this on John Grimsmo's video in Canada. So he has I think most people probably know about him, but if you don't know, he makes their own brand of knives, pocket knives and pens and things like that. Really high quality stuff. But anyway, he showed this off, and I was like, that's the one I want to get right there. Because I was looking into something like this. Most people, there's a brand called Doosan, and we had one at the last place I used to work before I started my shop. They're all right. It's like half the price of this one, but it's just, the whole thing is just cheap, in my opinion. This thing here is super solid, made in Italy. What's hilarious is like the rest of like all the PEX piping and everything was only like $400 for all the other fittings together.
Yeah.
But
So this distributes coolant to all your
yeah,
machines.
so basically, yeah. So here's the water pressure coming in, right? So basically this turns on the incoming water pressure, right? We have two, from here it goes into a manifold where it can go one of two places. One place is down here where you can fill up a bucket, right? If you need to, but we don't really need to do that very often anymore, other than like if we're filling up the saw. So like, as just an example here, if I wanted to fill up, let's just say 5 gallons in the Lynx here, I would crack this valve, I would crack this valve. That obviously has to be open, that's the main water pressure coming in. You set this to the auto position, and then we'd have to come over to the machine. I also have another ball valve at the machine. This just goes right into the coolant sump. And then basically I would set this in manual mode here. This is just a basic Amazon timer that I bought, a garden hose timer. And then give it a second here, it'll start kicking. So I just set it for 2 minutes.
Okay, and then this is dosing the coolant.
Yes, this is mixing the coolant, and then this there's a gauge on here that tells you from 1 to 10% bricks is what this one does. So what always happens is, like, I'm in the middle of programming something, I'm in the middle of setting something up, whatever. I don't have to think, oh God, did I flood the machine? Or like, you know, you're not mixing a bucket by hand. And we used to fill a bucket up in the hallway, a 55-gallon drum with water, and then we would mix it, coolant ourselves with like a stirring stick. And then I had a little like pond pump in the bottom that would pump the coolant back into the machine.
Yeah.
And then we had to wheel that thing around. It's just like this big, bulky 500-pound drum on a dolly. We'd wheel it to the machines. We'd fill each machine up. And then like you'd plug it into electric and be like, all right, I'm going to stand here and watch this. And then it's like, oh, I'm just going to go check an email real quick. The next thing you know, you're deep into it. And then you overflowed 40 gallons onto the floor.
And coolant's not cheap.
No. Another thing I'd like to point out here, just last summer, we got this AmeriCool. These are portable AC units for like industrial or commercial applications. They're designed to be used on the floor, as you can see by the wheels, but since I have a forklift, we just lifted them up, and we also know that cold air travels down. So because of this, it also saves floor space. I mean, those are pretty big units that take up a lot of floor space, which, as you have probably seen by now, I don't have a lot of. So we put them up there. It makes the cold air travel down. We have a couple fans here connected to a smart outlet. Better than nothing. I was telling Chad earlier, there was a day, I think it was actually a day he stopped by this last summer, but it got to 88 degrees inside the shop with a 77% humidity level, and I was like, I've had enough. I've done this now for like 7 years at that time, 7 summers, and I was like, we're doing something. So when it's like 100 degrees outside, it will get it down to about 80, 78 degrees in here with all the machines running and everything. And the main thing is it pulls the humidity out, so we get it down to about 45, 50% humidity level, which is, it's a noticeable difference. Yeah, it's a noticeable difference.
I have a lot of guys that have bigger shops, like, I talk to them, they're like, oh, we're putting in AC because we have guys leaving because it's so hot in here.
Yeah.
So it's like a big thing to even retain employees.
Yeah, it's helpful.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, we're kind of bouncing around here, but this is the sawing area. I mean, we're not trying to saw 10,000 pieces, but like a lot of times we're doing really fast lead time stuff where the supplier will take 10 days or 8 days to cut, 10 pieces of aluminum, where I'm just like, hey, get me a 12-foot bar of this, and they'll get it here the next day. So we'll just cut. If we have to make 10 parts, it's no big deal for us to chop 10 pieces on the saw. It's more support equipment. We're not trying to keep the saw occupied and make $100 an hour shop rate on the saw or something.
Sure. You were saying, so you got shrink fit and you got hydraulic.
Yeah. So
you don't
the tool
mess around
holders.
with tool holders.
No, I have quite a bit. We can look at the ones over there too. But I like ER collets a lot. Hydraulic, like every tool holder has its drawbacks, in my opinion. There's like pros and cons to a lot. I think a lot of guys kind of know this now, but like these hydraulics are great for not being able to run out very much. Yeah. But what I've noticed is, like, this is a 1/2-inch hydraulic holder, for example. These both are. This just has a sleeve in it to put an 1/8-inch tool. When you try to use like a tool like this, if you're doing any sort of like roughly any slightly bit of aggressive roughing with this, it has the tendency to pull it out.
Yeah, Kennametal has an insert for theirs. Okay. It has like the opposite helix on it. Yep. So, but yeah, it's a problem with hydraulics.
I think Heimer makes a shrink fit holder or a hydraulic holder that's like that has that like.
Kennametal might have licensed that.
Okay, it's very possible.
Because I know they did with, I think it was Heimer's like threaded, like replaceable end mills. You know those like thread-on end mills?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's a Heimer product, and I think they did it with the.
They licensed
Somebody
it.
can comment and correct me, but.
Yeah. But anyway, so like I like these because like the vibration dampening on this is incredible.
Correct.
It's so much better than
even
like
the fluid in there helps with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then like if you look down here, like here's a half inch hydraulic hole or a shrink fit tool holder without anything in it, and you can see the noticeable size difference in diameter. Right. And in addition to that, there's usually a little bit more projection. So the combination of those two things in this little slim diameter here, if you're doing heavy roughing with this doesn't usually work out, in my opinion, for like the steels and stuff. It doesn't work out very good.
Yeah.
Aluminum, it's fine. Like I have tool 3, which is basically just this. Whoops, almost cut myself there. 3 flute end mill with a ZRN coating. We also use like high polish coatings too, but 1.25 inch length of cut. We have these in all of the machines, which is tool 3, and we shrink fit every single one of those. So that's shrink fit. I don't know. I like shrink fit in most applications. You can't get better run out really. You will not have any pull out issues. The tool's going to break before it pulls out in 99% of the applications.
Yeah.
But you know, the vibration dampening isn't very good in my experience. So
they're nice for extended reach and stuff too.
Yeah.
You can get a slim thing.
You can get it.
You
can get one of these that has another 3 inches of projection on it, like very easily, and that's why a lot of like 5-axis guys will use them.
Yep.
But I mean, some people might not agree with me by saying this, but like I use a lot of side lock holders. I think, you know, in terms of like roughing, I'm not saying these are the absolute best in the entire world, but they're, in my opinion, they work good. Like
for roughing, I mean, there's no chance of pull out.
No, if you put a correct flat on there, which we have a surface grinder over there, and we put a nice flat on it, you know, because if you don't have a flat, you don't use this. So I've seen people do that, like, oh no, I don't put flats. I'm like, dude, you are gonna have a problem with that at some point. Like, there's really no way around that. So
and like, can you give me an idea how much would that side lock cost compared to like a shrink fit?
When these go on sale, they're like $60.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
No, and that's about what the end mill hold. Like, yeah, they're about the same comparable in cost.
I would have thought that'd be way more.
Now, if you buy like Mari Tool, they make their own shrink fits, and those are a little more expensive. They're better tools also, but those I want to say are like in the $100 to $200 range. Again, they make Mari Tool makes fantastic stuff, man. I really
Richard was telling me that in my last shop tour I did.
So all of the mills I have, I use this. This is a 2.48. I think it's 63 millimeter diameter, 5 flute SEHW insert, 45 degree insert. SEHW is this specific one here.
Right.
But I keep 2 of these at every mill, so I have 6 of these on the floor at any time. One has aluminum inserts on it, like aluminums, plastics, brasses, coppers, things like that. And then there's these stainless inserts. They have another grade of insert that is for regular steel, but I use stainless inserts for stainless, for regular steel, for like pretty much everything. That way I just keep 2 grades of inserts that are visibly different, and you can tell which one is which.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about this is another thing a lot of people don't think about. Most inserts come in packs of 10. When you have 5 cutting inserts, you're never like, oh, I got 2 inserts left in this pack, or I got 3 inserts. It's always like an even thing.
Right. Are these proprietary insert
No,
pockets?
so those are actually Sumitomo inserts.
Okay.
So those are Sumitomo, and they have another, like there's a Kennametal insert that fits on there that they sell. There's a Coralloy insert that I use for aluminum.
You said it was SEKW. What
this
was
is SEHW.
So that's probably the ISO code or whatever.
Yes, yeah. And truthfully, everybody, like all the cutting tool reps that come by, like, oh, this is old technology. Oh, we could get some. It's like, it works for me. I'm not winning, like, I need to shave a minute off of a face milling cycle for a plate that's this big that I'm making 2 parts of. Like, that couple minutes you're saving. Like, these inserts are very affordable. They're easily accessible. I can get them the next day. If I order rush, if I need it in 2 days, it's free shipping for if I can wait 2 days.
The fact that you can get them from multiple suppliers is a big deal, because a lot of times with indexable inserts, they're proprietary pockets because the company wants you to buy their own stuff. And then when they go out of stock, you're screwed.
And or if, like, I've had instances with other brands, I won't mention names, not that there's anything wrong with them, but they'll be all about this promotional thing. They're selling, oh yeah, these are the best, these are the newest, greatest thing. And then like 2 years later, they just don't even make the insert anymore. It's like, well, what was the point of doing all that? Now I can't.
Tool bodies.
You have a couple $1,000, or you have a couple $100 in tool bodies. I mean,
that pissed me off so bad when I was a tool rep, because like, they'd hype up the products, it's a great product, and it did perform well.
Right, it does.
If they didn't get enough traction in the market, it's like, oh, they're going to yank the line. It's like, okay, what about all the people that
you need to
my
support?
Customers that I have trust with, that we're now pulling the rug on.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
I don't miss that.
No. Yeah, I'm with you there. And speaking of tooling, I would like to show you this. You already know about this, the Continental Tool Boss.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that thing's pretty neat. I think for a smaller shop, there's not a lot of guys that have this.
No, this is pretty rare.
So this system is incredible because the way it works is this computer, which you'll see here in a minute. Hilariously, I put a picture of myself on there only because only because I was just testing the back end of the software because I was new to this when I got the cabinet.
Yeah.
We got this like 8 months ago.
Yeah.
So they gave me a pretty good deal. This was a used unit. That was, I think the unit itself is about 15 years old. The computer's from 2019, so 5-6 years old. A lot of companies use this because they want to track inventory and they want to make sure like, hey, why are we missing 35 half-inch end mills? Is someone like stealing these and selling them or whatever the case is? Or was there a legitimate problem where this nasty material was just breaking 30 end mills yesterday, right? So, but what I want to use it for is we have so many goofy tools, key cutters, end mills with neck, like necked end mills with like an extended reach. We have like stub extended, like the beautiful thing, and you can even kind of see it here, like we've got end mills, we got taps. In the same drawer, we have a tap, a different tap, an end mill. Like it's all sorted by the computer system. So you don't have to have a specific drawer for a specific tool, which is the really amazing thing about this. So now I'll show you kind of how it works. So you come in here, you press withdrawal, right? And we would come down here, let's just say we want to get a, sorry, I'll go back to the top. Let's just say we want to use a flat end, a flat end mill. Right there, okay? Let's just say I'm gonna use one of my standard tools here. Here's a 4-flute end mill. So then basically I have it set up to be sorted by description and we put the first item as the size of the diameter of the end mill. So you can see a 10 thousandths end mill, 15 thousandths length of cut. You come down here, here's our 1/2 inch. This is a tool that I commonly stock. 1/2 inch by 1 inch length of cut, 4-flute. We have an individual itemized picture for each different tool number. It took a long time. I think in the summer we spent about, I had my employees spend about 80 hours filling this thing up.
Wow.
And it's, you know, when we're slow, it's like this is the best use of time, really. This is like significantly helped, like being able to find stuff and everything like that. So basically, if you say you want one item, right, you press withdrawal. Now it lights up this area here, and it will only let you open the drawer to the location that the tool is. So you can see here, it says take one, and it says leave these here. So you go 1, 2, 3, leave, 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 and then this is the tool we need. And there it is. This is a GAR end mill, 4-flute, 1 inch length of cut with ALTIN coating.
Sweet. So when you had to tell it where you wanted all this
yes,
stuff?
Yes, you have to set that up,
yeah.
And it's a pain in the butt. I mean, It takes time. It really does. I'm way late on the 3D printing bandwagon, let me tell you that. What's amazing to me is like back 10, 15 years ago when printers came out, you had to be like half of like a computer or a 3D printer like expert, and you had to like know how to put these things together. This thing, you take it out of the box, literally I'm just like whipping up a model, throwing it on here, and in like 2 minutes it's printing out. Like it's crazy. No setup.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? How much?
It's like $700.
Yeah.
Like, and if you don't get the AMS, if you're good with just one spool, it's only like $500.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, so like if you're good with just printing one color all the time or manually changing out colors, then it's $500. Like
right.
it's wild.
Right.
That just blows my mind.
Yeah, the technology that you can get for the
but
prices.
I just, like I said, I'm late to the bandwagon on printing. But yeah, we have a lot of stuff, a lot of different plastics, 304 stainless, 316. Everything is pretty much labeled. For the most part, we're able to kind of track where the material certs are if we need it. If something is like a really, really critical, like needing full traceability, we won't use this material unless I know for a fact which cert it is. But most of the time, if we're pulling something off this rack, the material cert doesn't really matter, or they don't even need a cert at all. So we'll just kind of use, you know, something and just say, hey, this is the right. I know it's the right stuff because I ordered it.
Yeah.
But you know, like I said, if we need a fully, like this copper, I know where every single one of these lot numbers is. A lot of these bars, I know. We got some different types of overflow materials here. You know, when these bins kind of fill up, we got to go somewhere. And like, there's some pretty heavy stainless. I mean, that's probably, if I had to guess, I bet you that would be a couple grand worth of stainless in there easily.
Gotta say hi to the shop dog.
Yeah.
Hey, pup.
It's Rusty.
Hey, Rusty.
He's a certified good boy. Final inspector for our new ISO 9001 process.
Can't beat that.
Yeah, he's a good boy. I'm kind of in an intermittent stage of my business right now where my main customer that gives me most of my work, they're kind of a middleman. I'm sure everybody probably knows who that is. I'm not going to say who it is, but you can probably guess. They are at times a little bit difficult to deal with, and that's probably all I'm going to say about that. But I'm kind of trying to find some new customers. We just became registered with SAM.gov to do government contracting, so I have my own cage code. We're in the process of going ISO 9001, which I really don't want to do, but the way the world is today, you kind of need to show people, like they think that that means something if you have that piece of paper.
They get you with that.
They do.
And they get their money.
You know, I'm not really worried about the cost of it, but just the extra documentation that, in my opinion, for a shop of this size is not necessary is a little bit frustrating, but you know, it is what it is.
Right.
We'll get it done.
And play the game.
Yeah. This is my shrink fit. This is
I
my
was gonna
shrink
ask
fit
you.
machine. Yeah. So I put this in this old lathe, and we just very lightly clamp on right here, not like torque down and put some marks in the taper, but it works. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but typically, look at this goofball here. Typically, hey, be a good boy, all right? So yeah, we got Freddie here. That thing there is phenomenal. Made in the UK.
Sweet.
And then this company here, if you ever, I'm not trying to be a salesman, but if anybody wants to buy one, that's pretty much the only place you can buy it from in the US there, Sanborn Technologies. I'm pretty sure that's the only place you can buy it.
So you get a commission?
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully they send me the W-2 here so I can make my taxes even more complicated.
Right. Get you $100 to have your accountant deal with.
But yeah, we do a little bit of in-house bead blasting. Like, we're not out here actively trying to get random things to sandblast, but if a job comes through that needs it, or it needs like 5 pieces before they go to anodize, they want bead blasting, we'll bead blast it here. This is a newer unit. We used to have like a pimped out Harbor Freight cabinet that I like tweaked out and tuned in, like I think Exhibit himself pimped out that cabinet. But anyway, this thing here is Scat Blast. I mean, I think everybody in the industry knows them. Yeah, and then back here, pretty much the last piece of equipment everybody needs is a good air compressor. I've had this thing for over 2 years now. I like it a lot. I think this is one of the most brilliant things Kaiser ever did, was make like the design of the compressor kind of vertical, right? Because you see a lot that are fat and wide, and they just take up more floor space, where this is like just as powerful, just as good, just as big of a tank, but they kind of confined it all and made it taller, which is brilliant in my opinion. What's crazy about this thing is the inside of this, the guy was just here, he did maintenance a couple days ago. They did an oil change. This thing, the inside of this looks like a freaking CNC machine with all the like relays and everything else in there. I didn't realize when I bought this thing how complicated this was. And it's nice because like if there's something wrong with this, there will be like an error code on the screen, but you gotta be like a freaking computer scientist to figure out what that code says. And then this is a mold for a miniature skateboard, like a fingerboard. Oh yeah. So these are 2 different mold cavities, ironically, but they basically fit the same. I can show. Unfortunately, most of the other stuff I cannot. So,
I wish people weren't so private, but I get it.
it's the government, it's the aerospace, it's all the they don't want their information out there.
No,
so
I get it.
It
Can't
happens.
have the Chinese invading us because they saw our little mountain
brackets.
brackets.
I guess if they find a bracket, then all the world is done for. We're going to explode into a fine mist.